Man, I often hear liberals acting like they got some religion as I hear them say things like Jesus would have been a socialist or a liberal or a Democrat, to which I say, wrong. And I've explained why. But for some reason, after I explain why, I get people saying Jesus wouldn't have been a Republican either, Zoe. Look, just because I said Jesus wouldn't have been a Democrat doesn't mean I said he would have been a Republican. Democrats are the ones childishly trying to claim Jesus like a little kid saying, no, he's our friend, because they think somehow it will make them seem cooler. I'm not trying to claim Jesus for our side. I hold true to what Lincoln said. My concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right.
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
I can hear liberals now. Zoe, you're taking what Lincoln said out of context. Shut up. It still squares in the context I mentioned it for. And Lincoln is our friend, not yours. He was shot by a Democrat, remember? Now, y'all, we enjoy a constitutional republic, and we elect people to represent us. As conservatives, we tend to elect Republicans because the Republican Party was founded on recognizing that this is a republic with a constitution that guards the God-given rights of man. I point that out because liberals try to say that Jesus wouldn't have been a Republican because he wouldn't support a party that ignores the poor. Are you kidding me? Just because we oppose policies that steal from others for another to take advantage of doesn't mean we ignore people in need. Now, I'm not saying this to be boastful. I'm just going to make a point, but I give 10% of my income in tithe and donations, and I'm quite sure that's more of a percentage than most of the accusers give. Don't tell me I ignore people in need. And the fact is, more Republicans are more charitable with their own money than Democrats are. Oh, many Democrats are very charitable with other people's money, or should I say they're very liberal with other people's money. And even some Christians who want to sound all teacher's pet holy, saying Jesus wouldn't have been a Democrat or Republican, Zoe. He's above that. Yeah, Christians, that's why more and more you're whining about how we're losing God in this country. And we're losing him in a large part because you think that Jesus is just too precious to be involved in our politics. Democrats are removing your precious Jesus through cultural and political process, while you sanctimoniously assume that you'd be dishonoring Jesus by taking him with you into the voting booth. Jesus has already shown that more than anybody who has ever lived, he's ready to get in the mud with us to help us out. And Jesus will help out a party that guards his gift of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and property. And he will help those who oppose people like Democrats who believe that these rights come from government violating the commandment to not have any other gods before him. Now, I know some of y'all are like, why is Zoe talking about Jesus so much? A better question would be, why are liberals talking about Jesus so much? And Republicans, you've already allowed liberals to claim the history of the Republican Party. And that's why people think that the KKK were Republicans when they were actually Democrats. You want them to claim Jesus too? Republicans died to set men free from slavery-demanding Democrats. And the Democrats turned freed men against their liberators. Jesus died to set all of us free too. And many of the liberated have been turned against him too, haven't they? And if Democrats can do the damage they've done by claiming the history of the Republican Party, you just think of the damage they can do if they claim Jesus. The Democrat Party, as the KKK, claimed Jesus, if that gives you an idea. And this new generation of Democrats operates more insidiously than before. And now more than ever, you do not want the Democrats claiming Jesus. And Democrats are prime examples of why God commands for us to not take his name in vain, because he does not want people using his name to justify their self-righteousness, which leads to people being deprived of their right to life, liberty, their pursuit of happiness, and their property. But man, between some of these Republicans who think they're too good for God and other Republicans who think Jesus is too good for us and Christians who think that they're behaving so holy because they don't want to associate with a party because they think Jesus is too good for that, we're in bad shape. The Republican platform is the most respectful platform to the 10 Commandments, and it's the platform that best enables us to help the poor and needy free themselves from poverty by our own volition, not by government design. And again, y'all, I'm talking about platform, not the deviants who represent it. Now, speaking to Christians, my point isn't in telling you that you have to become a Republican. What I'm telling you is that many of you can see that more and more there's an attempt to shove God out of the way. And it's being done through cultural and political process led by the Democrat Party. Just a suggestion, you might want to consider being a party to a remedy against those advancing such cultural and political bowel movements. You might want to consider voting on a platform that best represents you if you want to keep this country from becoming of what you're afraid it's going to be. The spiritual war manifests itself in things like the cultural and political theaters. And speaking of representation, I still get people saying, Zoe, please run for office. I'd support you. Man, that's really nice, y'all. And thank you for your confidence in my work. But forgive me for asking, is going to political office the only way to make a difference? And would I have to run for office to get your support? Remember, y'all, politicians don't make America great. People using their God-given talents to be of good service does. But I can understand and appreciate why some would ask me. It's because of what they believe I represent. And that's what conservatives are looking for, representation. What I represent to them are simple things, like we want to be recognized as people, not subjects. And I represent that they judge based on content of character, not color of skin. But I have no interest in promoting myself as a politician. My interest is in promoting salt, light, and conservatism. That way we'd have a culture that would be more ready to receive that kind of representation. And there might even be more conservatives who would understand what it means to be that representative. If you want to support me with that. I hope I can count on you when I need your support for certain projects. I'm Alfonso Rachel with Zoe Nation, and I often hear conservatives saying we do too much preaching to the choir. And there's some truth to that. But I like to think that I'm helping to fortify the choir. A fortified choir that doesn't just stay in a bubble. Are you kidding me?